Hello everybody. So I'm going to have to make a short YouTube video. I'm going to take this problem and post it up. I'm going to give it a quick read. For a certain nationwide standardized test, there are two commonly used preparation products on the market, Study Focus and Prepara. A researcher in the education department at a nearby university wants to determine if there is any difference between the two products on the mean score on the test by their users. Again, I'll put this in the content tab. The researcher obtains the scores on the test from a random sample of 16 users for Study Focus and then 15 for Prepara. The users for Study Focus had a sample mean of 491.4 with a sample variance. And the reason I emphasize that is that you have to take the square root of that number, the 6783.5, to get your standard deviation. And so for your calculator, I'll show you what you type in there. And then for the Prepara, you have a sample mean of 544.1 and a sample variance of 680.3. So because they're talking about difference, the alternative is going to be the claim. So when you're taking the test, you'd put the word claim right next to that, and you'd write the null and the alternative. Now, in this problem, determine the type of test statistic, and it's a T. The reason that it's a T is because you have sample standard deviations rather than population standard deviations. Now, on the test, degrees of freedom would be the smaller of the two sample sizes minus 1, and that will work. I don't know that Alex does that, so this 18.15 I've gotten off the calculator, and I'll show you in just a second how I got that, as well as the test statistic, and then I'll show you how to do the critical value as well. So I'm going to move on you, and I apologize for that. I don't like to do that to you guys too much, but it happens, unfortunately. So I'm going to pull up the calculator, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to hit the stat key, and then I'm going to arrow over to tests, and I'm going to do two sample t-test. Okay. I've already put the data in, so what I've done here is I've taken the square root, and I've used the calculator to do that and taken it out as far as I can, and square root of the variance there as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down, and I have the not equals highlighted, and pooled is no. Now remember, pooled means the variances are equal. So it says it's not pooled, the variances are not equal. So we hit no there, and then we go ahead and calculate. So here's our test statistic, here's our p-value, and there's actually a formal formula for determining the degrees of freedom, and it's programmed into the calculator, so you can just type that into your calculator as a two-sample t-test, and you can get that if that's what Alex needs you to use. It may want us to use 14, which is the smaller sample size minus 1. Okay? Now back over to here, we've got to get the critical values. Now this is a two-tailed test, so it would be expected that you draw, the distribution, and then you put a little rejection region on the left, a little rejection region on the right. And so to get the critical values, we're going to do second vars. So you hit back on the calculator, you're going to hit second vars, so the second key, the vars key, and they're going to go to INVT, and we'll see if it behaves nicely for us. So our area is 0.05 on this problem, so we're going to split it to 0.025 because it's a two-tailed test. And our degrees of freedom would be 18.1582. And we go ahead and hit paste. And we hit enter. And we're going to have this negative 2.0996. And because it's a two-tailed test, what we do is we just put that as a negative. So we have a negative 2.0996 and then a positive 2.0996. And so we're in the rejection region. And also, when I went back and I did the p-value was smaller than 0.05. So we are going to reject the null. And so we have to think about our null and our alternative. We're rejecting the null. We're putting a line through that, and the claim is going to get supported. So let's see what this has to ask us. So at the 0.05 level of significance, can the researcher conclude that there is a difference between the mean score on the test by the users of Study Focus and the mean score on the test by the users of Prepara? And the answer is yes. The three-part conclusion that I ask for, first, you either reject the null or you fail to reject the null. So we are rejecting the null because this test statistic is farther away from the center than these two critical values. The other reason is that the p-value is smaller. Now we state our level of significance, so we would say alpha is equal to 0.05, and then finally we make a statement about the claim. And the claim is on the alternative, and since we rejected the null and the alternative still stands, and the claim is on the alternative, we say we have sufficient evidence to support the claim. And then technically we're supposed to restate the claim, but I'm happy if you just say there's sufficient evidence. Okay, hopefully that helps.